What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. In today's episode, I'm going to break down my trades from the morning. I'm currently sitting in the green and I traded 6 different stocks. I'm green on 4, I'm red on 2 of them, but my first trade of the day was a, bigger loss. It put me in the red, not near my max loss, but it did put me in the red. And in fact, that trade was my biggest trade of the day in terms of dollar amount. All of the winners that followed, none of them were bigger than that first loss. So I put myself in the red on the first trade, and I spent the rest of the morning digging myself out of the hole. Now, although I was able to recover, what was evident today was that my average losers were bigger than my average winners, which is why, in spite of having relatively good accuracy and being green on more stocks than I was red, I only came back above break even to being slightly green on the day. Okay, so that's not what I was hoping for today, but you know what? Small green days are good. They pay the bills, and it's going to continue to help me build that cushion for the month of September because we're still at the beginning of the new month. So yesterday was a green day. Today is a green day. Hopefully tomorrow and Friday can be green days, and I can start the month with 4 green days in a row. Even if it's not a ton of profit, it builds confidence, and it certainly builds at least a little bit of a cushion. So these are the 6 stocks I traded. My biggest winner is IPDN. Now, what's interesting about IPDN is that this is actually a stock that was moving just a couple days ago. So the setup today was the first daily candle to make a new high. But boy, what a swing. You can see this move from down here all the way up to 12 and then all the way back down to 8. And look at that right there. What do we call that candle? That is a jackknife. So the stock popped up, which created the upper candle wick, and then immediately reversed into a halt down. That is the worst type of candle to be in as a long bias trader. Essentially what happens is you're looking at the setup and you're thinking, okay, we've halted up once, we dipped and ripped up again, we pulled back, we popped up, we pulled back, we popped up, we dipped down, and you're thinking, all right, I'm going to take this trade here for the squeeze through the high. It makes sense. It's logical. And so you take that trade, that buy right there, you're looking for the squeeze through the high, it goes up to 1220 nice, and then suddenly, whoosh, the bottom falls out and it just flushes, in this case, from 1220 to 1020, a 2-point drop. It opens lower, it bounces up a little bit back to about the halt level, and then, as you could see, pushes even lower. So, and it's interesting because this false breakout right here, the MACD, it looks like at that moment, so at that exact moment, it went red. Just the moment before, it had dipped down here a little bit. So you could see the MACD was crossing, but it wasn't negative yet. And the volume was decent. There was definitely more volume on the buy side. So it's a little bit of a shame that this didn't work out better and it gave us that rejection. But nonetheless, so where did I trade this? So I actually took a couple of trades on IPDN. One was a dip trade down in this area right here. So I traded that candle as it popped back up. And the reason I was trading that was because I recognized that it was starting to pop up a little bit. It sort of squeezed up right here. It sort of dipped down. And I thought, all right, I'm going to catch that next trade higher. So I got my first trade right there. We got the double top at 9. So this was our previous high. This was our high. I wanted to see that level break so we could get up to this high here. And then I was looking at the high from the previous day, which was up here around 1084. Now we did end up breaking that level, but not till after the open. At the open, we got this squeeze into a halt right here. I bought the dip and sold into the rip right here to add a little more profit, but with smaller share size. And then I didn't take any more trades on it. So that was IPDN. But that was not the first stock I traded. The first stock I traded was actually STI, which right now is our 3rd leading gainer on the day. This, at one point this morning, was up, it was the #1 leading gainer. It was up about 170% when I sat down. That's a nice move. So this popped up after hours. It then pulls back. Then it pops up pre-market, dips, pops up, dips, pops up. And by 6:30, 7 a.m., we were set up right here for another move higher. So here's how I traded this. Coming into 7 a.m., right here, you could see how we popped just before 7 a.m. to this new high. We hit a high of 883. So at 7 a.m., it dips down right here, and I bought this dip. It popped up for a second, but it didn't work, and I stopped out right there. Now, it was only a $3,500 loss, so it's not it's not a massive loss, but as you could see, I didn't have any winners that were bigger than that. So, that was my biggest trade of the day, and it was on the red side. My thinking with that trade was, this is our leading gainer. It's clearly moving. So I'm going to try to buy the dip for the retest of the high. I don't think it was a bad idea, but it just obviously didn't work out. And that was the only trade I took on it. I did not take any more trades. So that just goes sideways. So no interest. Although, well, I will say that I was considering it at the open if it could break this level here, but of course it wasn't able to do that. So that was STI. So then the next stock that I traded after that was SINT. Now, SINT, interestingly, pops up. So we first get this pop up right here. It pops up, it drops down. I actually lost about $100 on my first trade. But then it comes back up, curls, I get back in, and we get this sweep all the way back up here from $5 up to over $7 a share. And on that one, recovered the loss from going red. Not that I was red by a lot, but I didn't take big share size. And here was the problem. It was extended, micro pullback. It was so extended, I felt like I could only trade it with small size. So I was kind of being a little bit conservative on it. Well, part of that was because I was red on the day. That was the right move. So I was conservative on that, got small gains on it. So after that trade, I went from being down 3,500 to being down like 2,400. All right, well, moving in the right direction. That's good. So then after that, I had the trade on IPDN, my first one. And so that got me down to maybe 500 on the day. Then after that, I had AIHS. When AIHS popped up on the scanner right here, I said, well, I don't know, guys. This is a Chinese stock. Chinese stock, CN here. I don't know if we can really trust it. This is a sector that's been difficult. Yes, in the past, we've had big moves, but as of late, it's been more pop and drop stuff where they pop up and then they fade. So I really didn't think it was going to work. It obviously, it did grind higher, but when I took my first trade on it, so I jumped in it a little on the extended side. It kept grinding higher, pulls back, and I got in at 385, right around 385 for the break of 4. So it ends up breaking over 4 here, going up to 420, and then it dips down. Then again, another jackknife candle right there. And then it sells off pretty hard. So anyways, AIHS made about $1,700 on it. Nothing crazy, but green is good. BAOS, this is another stock that popped up. On this one, I got a very small trade on it. Was looking for the break through the double top right there. Ended up losing $29. I can handle that. That's a small loss, no big deal. So double top, wanted to see it break, and it failed. The MACD was positive here. The volume was okay. I didn't see a really good reason why this failed. It was another Chinese stock, but AIHS had just made a big move. So that made me think, well, maybe this will work, right? Maybe the momentum is on Chinese names today. So then following that, I had a trade on LCFY. It's a foreign company. It's not Chinese. Ends up popping up here and then selling off. And I jumped in and out of it for $1,200 of profit. A very quick trade. So basically what happened on this one was it just basically went straight up. And so the way I traded this was I bought for the break of 7 and just scalped that whole dollar breakout, getting in at 7, getting out at like 735 or 745. So a very quick trade on that one. And then the last trade of the day was on IPDN, right? That was that last trade after the open. And it's going down even more. So, and then I saw ABTC was halted. It looks like it's an uplist, American Bitcoin. These are all just very hard to trust right now. So right now for me, it's the time to just be a bit more conservative, to get in, get green, book the profit, and know that when the market picks back up, I have no problem scaling up. But if I scale up right now, I'm really afraid I'm going to get smoked, put myself in the red. I did that the first week of August. I don't want to do that here in September. I just want to build the cushion, be more conservative. And so even though I'm not making as much as I might like, the fact is, I feel like to a certain extent, I'm not in control of how much I make. How much I make is a product of the market that we're in. If we're in a hot market, I'll make a lot. If we're in a colder market, I will either lose a lot or I can go break even or maybe even make a little if I'm on the defense. And right now, I'm sitting on the defense. I'm being a little bit more conservative, but it's paying off. The account is still growing. So as always, for those of you guys that haven't already checked out a 2-week trial here at Warrior Trading, you probably know our Labor Day sale has ended. And if you didn't join, it's okay, I get it. Maybe now is not the right time. Maybe it's too expensive or whatever the case is. But it doesn't have to stop you from doing a 2-week trial. It's 2 weeks for $20. And during that time, you're gonna gain a lot of knowledge. You're gonna learn a lot about my strategy, the way I trade, and you can have all of that. You can keep it. And you can watch these episodes here on YouTube. And I really think you're gonna learn a lot. So check out that trial. I hope to see you in it, and I'll be streaming bright and early tomorrow morning. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.